some of those turned into baskets for them, whether it was, Grant's three on the left side over there. That was a missed, opportunity at the rim and transition for us that turns into a three for them. The other baskets that happened were, offensive rebounds. We were forcing misses. We just weren't coming up with the ball. And that sort of continued in the second half, but we got just enough, to continue to whittle the lead down. We were getting them inside the paint, and they were shooting some hard twos. The philosophy at halftime was, hey, they're on pace to get off, a lot of threes, and the two main guys get off a lot of threes based on the first, 15 to 20 minutes of the game, and we've got to shut that down. We've got to play the line harder, and we've got to get them inside the paint. We've got to be there when they get there, and we have to be ready when they jump in the air to drop those passes off to steal it. And then when they take a bad shot, we can't let a bad shot become an offensive rebound. They got just enough, just enough in order to maintain that lead.
Down here in the front on the aisle.
Marvin Chambers, 4.0 Sports Media. Coach, there's no more victories. You guys were down 16. But what did you really learn from your team after this and coming back? Because you had a one-possession game. So what did you learn as a coach?
Yeah, we haven't been in that situation very often, where we've been down that much other than the UMass game. And so there were some, similarities to that. I think the guys were a little bit on their heels. The last time we didn't really work ourselves out of it. In this particular game, the guys were determined. They drew from that experience, and they were determined to fight their way back in. And so I'm really proud. They don't surprise me with their character. They don't surprise me with their willingness to be a great teammate and desire to be a great teammate. They are competitive, and I think the positive energy began to pile up, right? And that's what happens, when leagues change and you begin to fight. Our guys did a great job, of finding a way in a really hard situation to make the most of it. And so you can't always control your circumstances, right? You can control your response to the circumstances, and I think that's what you saw.
We'll come across the aisle in row 2.
Zach Joaquin, Richmond Times-Dispatch. Ryan, what did they do defensively against Max?
Yeah, they were physical with him. They knocked some balls loose where he was by them. And Clark's really good at that. It was almost as if he said, I'm going to let you go so I can try to get it from behind. And that had happened multiple times. And it kind of throws your rhythm off a little bit. I thought he was going to make that last two. It didn't go in because he'd made one right before that. That was a key shot. He just lost his balance a little bit. And it didn't go down. But it's hard, 4 games, he had such an amazing game the game before. Sometimes, it can go the other direction on you at times, the better players, not better players, but the main guys from both teams, it's not like, they all were stellar, tonight. The numbers were way different, than what's a normal night, for both teams.
If you can hand the microphone back, we'll go 2 rows back, and then the last question will come on the other side of the aisle.
I'm just kind of curious about postseason for you guys. Is that something you're interested in? And kind of, if you had to make a case to, an NIT potential, kind of what would your case be for your team?
Yeah, I think our league it doesn't get enough credit. I think that's the first thing. It's not hard to watch these games and see how competitive they are. Obviously we've got Dayton, hopefully is in a good spot and is heading into the NCAA tournament, well deserved with the year that they've had. Obviously Duquesne, now is moving in there, so it's great that we've got 2 that are going to make it. Quite a few teams, that aren't in the NCAA talk, at this point, that are completely worthy of playing, in the NIT, and so. For this team was dealt, as much adversity as any team, not saying more, throughout the season to play, 10 games without Joe Bam, 10 games basically without Sean Bairstow, and then have Zeb miss 2 conference games. Jason Nelson missed a game. We had multiple guys, that, couldn't play throughout the year. We're not the only ones, all right? But that's a lot of games if you think about it. I haven't done the, work in terms of figuring out how many we missed, but I think we do have, our full complement of our roster right now, and this team's playing pretty well. Lost 2 games, one at Dayton by whatever it was in overtime and had a chance to win that one, and then lost by 3 at Richmond, who won our conference. Beat all the top teams in our conference, and our metrics are pretty good. At least they were. I think we finally got inside of 70 for the first time all year. This morning, but obviously that's going to change tomorrow. How much? Who knows? This is a good basketball team. Worthy of playing postseason. Certainly we will. If we get called, the guys will be excited to compete for another championship. And it's one of the things Coach Theus, said to the team. I always talk to the team after the conference tournament and talk about the seniors, Sean Bairstow and Kwani. I won't go in depth about the things that I said about those guys, but opened it up to everybody else. And Coach Theus, was great, with the team. He said he appreciated what all these guys had done for VCU. The VCU is a place that competes for championships, and we obviously had a chance to do that. Not easy to do with the turnover that we had and the coaching change and the new faces and all of that. This team willed its way into a championship situation with 40 minutes. And it'd be a shame for it to end right now because they have more to give. They want to play more. And then, I think he's dead right, in that, if we're given the chance to do that in the NIT, then we'll compete for another championship because that's what VCU does.
Okay, last question across the aisle, real quick.
Gabe Zoe at WRHU, you mentioned offensive rebounding for Duquesne and how
Yeah.
that benefited them, obviously. Was that just a case of the ball just bouncing their way? Or was
No. I mean, you got to make it happen, right? They were going after it, and we were contesting. We wanted them inside the 3, right? And we didn't want to give them catch and shoot 3s. They're getting downhill. It's going to happen. We're coming over to help with our bigs, all right? And then all of a sudden, we just didn't come up with enough of those drop-offs like I was talking about, or the missed shots, all right, became, offensive rebounds. The one where they had to launch like 3 threes, right? They're long rebounds. We just didn't, we weren't as disciplined as we needed to be in terms of getting our bodies turned and getting our backs on them and then chasing the ball. And obviously I haven't seen the replays of them, but you've got to give Duquesne credit for going after it, all right? They were missing some shots and they had to go get it. That was one way that they could, find a way to the free throw line, find a way to an easy basket, potentially. And, we just didn't do a good enough job. I mean, we definitely haven't, I can't imagine we've given up that many in one game this year. This has been, over the course of the season, an excellent defensive rebounding team. And tonight we weren't.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate
Thank
you
you,
taking
Ryan.
the time.